Hey everyone! Today I have with me Ursula Diamond. She leads the career services team at Claremont McKenna College. She is passionate about helping students and alumni construct and navigate their own career paths. During the past 20 years of her career, she has worked as a leader, administrator, and educator in the fields of higher education, healthcare, financial services, and consulting. She holds a Bachelor of Arts degree from the University of London, a Master of Arts degree in psychology, and a Doctor of Philosophy in higher education, both from NYU. So, Ursula, you've got a lot of degrees under your name. What is it, though, that you're not telling us? What can't we see?
What kind of see? That I'm a first-generation student. So I was the first person in, I had 3 older siblings, and my parents and none of my older siblings had been to college. So I kind of navigated that on my own. I'm obviously English, and so that tends
We can hear that.
Although my friends and family in England say that I sound very American, and my American friends and family say I sound very English. So I joke that I'm literally in the middle of the Atlantic right now. I'm mid-Atlantic.
Ursula, how did you imagine your career path being during college? Like when you were just starting out, in that being that first generation college student, going off to school for the first time and not really knowing what to expect?
Well, I think I'm like very similar to many other first generation students. I assumed that to be successful in college, you had to work really hard at your academics, focus on getting great grades, and then that would lead to good things. And so during college, I did no extracurriculars. I hardly even really partied. I had no internships. I worked my way through summer. And then when I graduated and I had a degree in German and French literature, I had no idea what I wanted to do next. And I lucked into an opportunity to work for a consulting firm in London. Purely by talking to a friend of my boyfriend at the time. And that's, this is one of the stories I always tell students. The more people you can talk to, the more opportunities tend to just emerge in your life. And so that whole concept of planned happenstance and making opportunity and luck in your life. So through college, I was just kind of making it up as I went along. And I never went to career services. I never talked to any professionals. I had nobody in my family to kind of ask. So I kind of muddled my way through. Things ended up well, but I wish I had had a little bit more advice during my college years about how to be more productive and how to make sure that you're getting the right opportunities for you.
Yeah, I mean, that was the reason I wanted to start College Magazine, because I felt as a college student, I wanted to know that there was a guide just for me on how to do college right. Like I felt like I was like, guessing. And it's kind of cool and serendipitous how we do fall into things. Yeah. But I think, we can only say that now looking back, but when you're in it, it's super confusing and can be frustrating. Yeah. And to look around and suddenly realize, oh my God, everyone has an internship and I don't.
So that's happening right now on campus. We are in fall, and it is consulting recruitment season, and there's a whole bunch of students walking around in suits and briefcases and going for interviews, and it makes everybody on campus feel like I should be doing that too, because you look at what other people seem to be doing and you think maybe I should do that, even if it's not a good fit for you. So I feel like that muddling along in college was really directionless. I was just waiting for somebody to show me the way or to give me a hint, and the very first opportunity that came along I grabbed because I just didn't even know what else was out there. So one of the messages I always say to students is you got to explore. You've got to find ways to talk to people and discover what the different opportunities are so you don't lock yourself into something very quickly without realizing there's another world out there.
It's like you just described my initial career journey. Okay. So, I mean, I graduated and I'm like, everyone around me is going for these consulting opportunities. I was in this dorky business honors program that totally connected to a consulting opportunity and, networked my way and made it. And I was miserable in that first job because I was just like, consulting transfers to everything, but the kind of consulting was government consulting. And it was for the Air Force. And it just didn't interest me at all. Mm-hmm. And so I wasn't really thinking about the kind of themes that I talk about on this podcast, which are, does what you do connect to your interest, like at a very basic level, and strengths and values? And so you might be really good at something, but if you have no interest in what you're going to be doing every day, that's going to wear at you. I know it did for me.
Yeah. And I think a lot of it is that you feel like you should just be doing something. And if it's well paid, and if it's kind of like feels like something that your parents would be proud that you're doing, that feels like the right motivation at the time. But then what you're kind of missing this whole aspect of actually, as you say, fitting in with something that really interests you, motivates you, excites you to get out of bed in the morning. That's so important. And I personally did exactly the same thing. I just went for like a well-paid, action-oriented job where it kind of felt like I should be doing it. I never did that piece of work of like, who am I? What do I want? What interests do I have? What am I good at? What do I suck at? All of those types of questions that you don't necessarily ever do unless somebody encourages and coaches you to do that work.
Mm-hmm. And the should I be doing? I mean, that really goes back to like, yeah, pleasing parents.
Yes.
And I think so many of us don't even realize that we're doing it too.
Yeah.
But we want to impress them.
When I was thinking about what were my goals in college, my goal in college was to make my parents happy. And then when my first job out of college, make my parents happy, make them proud, make them feel that the investment they put in me was going to be worthwhile, that they could talk to their friends about how well I was doing. And I never really put myself at the center of that conversation. So I think that's definitely in your late teens and 20s, that's a struggle.
Yeah. Well, so tell me about a day in your life as the director for student opportunities at Claremont McKenna College. What does it look like?
Oh, it's busy. I try and fit in as much time as I can to meet with students individually. We're incredibly blessed. Our campus is only 1,300 students. So there's about 300 to 350 students in each class year, which means you have the opportunity to have a conversation with every student on this campus and get to know them. I'm still learning how to do that because I only arrived a couple of summers ago. So some of the graduating seniors and juniors, I'm a little late to the party, but the freshmen and sophomores, I'm getting to know pretty well.
So now you're partying.
So I am trying to like spend as much time as I can with them. And we have an individual coaching model, which is awesome. So like, 30 minutes with each student to try and chat with them. The rest of my time is boring meetings, responding to emails. I normally get to my desk at about 7:30 in the morning, about half an hour before the rest of my team, drink a large mug of tea, get through my emails, have meetings throughout the day, and then try and get out before 5:36 that night, unless there's an evening event on campus I want to attend.
So the part that you really enjoy is what I'm hearing is getting those coaching moments with the students. So you're on the front lines of working with young emerging professionals and hearing from them what is working and what isn't working. And so are there any trends that you can share with us today that might put some of our listeners here at ease to be like, hey, it's not just me?
I feel like so many students walk into my office feeling a huge amount of self-doubt, that whatever inkling that they have about what they might want to do, they are constantly second guessing and questioning. And they often just need a sounding board to talk that with, like somebody who can coach or advise them and just give them a little bit of feedback and reassure them that they're on the right path. And so some people, don't get me wrong, some people walk into the office and say, I don't know what to do, or I want to do everything. How do I select the pathway for me? So that's one type of conversation. But I think the vast majority of the students, at least at Claremont McKenna, they're walking in with some ideas, but they're like, again, should I be doing this? They're kind of looking for that kind of, give me some authority that it's okay to spend my summer this way, or it's okay for me to join this club and this club, or what would you suggest? So I kind of see myself more as like a mentor and a coach to just like give them some feedback, reassure them that it's going to be okay, and that they really need to trust those inner instincts, and that this is 4 years of college to explore. Don't shut anything down. Be open to opportunities. Most importantly, be curious. Don't make any assumptions that you know what consulting is, or that you know what nonprofit is, or that you know what financial services is. Go out and explore and talk to people and have job shadows and go on internships, all the things I never did when I was in college. Please go and do it on my behalf so that you may have a more successful trajectory than I maybe had.
Yeah. Well, I love what you're saying about, they're looking for that reassurance. So if there's someone listening today, right, if you're sitting here listening to this audio or watching this video and you're saying, am I on the right track? Is it okay that I want to pursue this? what do you do when you have those kinds of questions and you're looking for that reassurance?
I'll ask them lots of questions. I'll be like, well, why do you think you might want to do this or this other thing? What is it that you're really interested and passionate about? What makes you excited? What makes you want to know more about this versus what maybe you're doing because, as I say, your friends may be doing it or your parents are suggesting that you should be doing it. And trying to find that spark. You know, when you're talking to somebody, they can be talking in a very monotone way and like be like very serious, etc. And then they start on a subject and they light up. And I'm looking for that moment when the student lights up and you can just tell in their eyes, in their face, that they're enjoying talking about this or thinking about it or planning about it. And I'm like, okay, you should do that. Because you're young, you can take some risks and some chances. If you mess this up in a few years, who cares? You just move on to something else. So if this sets you alight right now, now is the time to do it. And it may not be the same next year. You may have a completely different idea of what you want to do. And then let's have that conversation again, right? And see what's lighting you up at that moment.
And that's okay. I mean, don't worry so much about what other people are seeing you do because they probably don't care. They're so involved in their own lives.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, what I'm hearing here too is that have a sounding board, have someone that you can go speak to, right? Go, if you're on your college campus, go to career services, talk to Ursula, right? But talk to people in your life and share what it is that you want to do and talk out your passions. Be like, look, I'm thinking about starting this podcast because I'm really passionate about helping emerging professionals feel that they're qualified. And you could just like see me light up and you might be like, yes, do that. And talk to the people who are going to be like, yes, do not do that. Not who are you to make a podcast?
Right. People who believe, like the reason we call ourselves coaches on this campus as opposed to counselors or advisors is if you've ever had like an athletic coach, that person believes in you. They want you to succeed. They want you to be that person that they can help coach to fulfill your goals and whatever it is that you're excited about right now. And so I always think that's kind of who I am. I'm like the coach who's like going, rah, 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 you can do this. Like, what are we going to do next? And kind of like get that. And often you'll see that difference. Somebody will walk in at the beginning of an appointment and they're like, you know, a bit hangdog, maybe they're a little sleepy. They're not really like, I made this appointment. I'm now kind of regretting doing that. And then half an hour later, they're walking out of that room with a bounce in their step because somebody has like said, yes, you can do this. And what are the things you're going to do next? And how is this going to work for you? And they can start to visualize themselves in this type of, oh yeah, I can do that. And that will be good to do.
I want you as my coach. That sounds amazing. Anytime I have an idea, I'm just going to be calling. Well, so, okay, if this sparks something for you, if you're listening in and you're like, who does believe in me? And maybe it probably is your parents too, but maybe let's step outside of your parents. If there's a person that comes to mind, write that name down and talk to them today. And if you feel like there isn't someone in your world, find that person, right? Find your community, find as Rachel Hollis would say, I just got back from this Amy Porterfield entrepreneur experience and Rachel Hollis spoke and she's like, find your hype squad. And I love that because it's people that are going to like cheer you on as you're doing it, but they're also going to like coach you and be there, throughout the entire process. They're in it with you and they believe in you.
I've often found professors can fill that role as well, or staff members. Somebody who you just kind of click with and you kind of feel comfortable talking to them and they seem to have the time to talk to you, right?
Mm-hmm.
They actually enjoy being in that relationship with you. That can work as well on campus as well as all the suggestions you talked about off campus as well.
Yeah. So yeah, professors, people that run organizations on your campus that connect to what you do. So, for me, I was very involved with my entrepreneurship center on campus. My mentor, Asher, has been with me through the entire process of starting College Magazine to where it is today. I can't thank him enough. Shout out to Asher. And then what about also, people that are one step ahead doing kind of what you want to be doing?
So we are incredibly blessed in that we have a bunch of alumni. Our college was only started in 1946, so it's pretty new, but we have just under 12,000 alumni who are out there, most of them on LinkedIn. And there's a lot of loyalty they love their college experience and they are always very open and up for being able to help students. And so being able to reach out to either alumni, if you have access to them, you can normally find them on LinkedIn, even if you don't have access to some kind of college database, and reaching out to them to just ask for their advice. I always joke that people love talking about themselves. So if you have any concern, I don't want to bother somebody, or they're not going to want to speak to me, as long as you are phrasing it as, I would love to learn from your career, everything that I'd love to get some advice, I'd love to hear any suggestions you might have for me. That's an adult talking about their life and their success, and they're generally really happy to share that and to help somebody who's coming up behind them. So that, to me, alumni is a great one, but also upperclassmen. If you're like a freshman or a sophomore trying to figure this out, have a look at some of the juniors and seniors who are already paving the way and seem to be a little bit more confident and mature about how they're approaching this. Again, they generally love talking to freshmen and sophomore and kind of, again, talking about themselves and what they've managed to do and the things they wish they had known when they had first started college.
Yeah. And I think that's what's so special to me about a college campus is that you have this environment and you have this community that's built in. If you are not feeling that at your campus, or if you aren't in college, I would say also look to your local community. I mean, just last night I went to an event called Hug SDX. It was sponsored by HubSpot, but it brings together all these marketers and creatives. And I know that in college too, I was very much living within the bubble and that insular space. But could I have been looking more to what was happening around in my community where the professionals were hanging out? And these are young, hip professionals who would love to be your mentor, who would love for you to ask questions like, how did you get to where you are? And they're passionate about what they do. And like Ursula said, when you get someone speaking about what they're doing, I mean, people enjoy talking about their career journey. So that's a really easy question to ask. And before you know it, you're building a relationship and you might have a mentor there or your potential hype squad. Well, so Ursula, tell me about the object you brought and how it reflects your passion.
Okay, so the object I bought is a Pasadena Pacers running shirt. The reason I bought this is I have never been an athlete. I'm terrible at anything athletic like that. I was never picked for school sports. I was in college, I didn't do anything. After college, I didn't do anything. I did a little bit of haphazard running, but not a lot. When I moved to Pasadena in 2018 in California, there was a running club, and my husband is a runner, and he immediately started marathon training, his first ever marathon, which meant I never saw him. So I said, the only way I'm going to be able to see him is if I start running, not with him, but at least near to him, adjacent to him. And so I joined this running club. And so I went from 0 to running a half marathon in 1 year. And to me, from not being a runner to being able to run a half marathon in January, I even bought my little medal in case you're interested, which I'm very proud of.
That's amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you. The point behind it is, my goal was just to day by day do a little bit more, run a little bit further, be a little bit healthier, be a little less out of breath. That's actually, I feel like, not a bad metaphor for how you approach your career. Move forward a step at a time. You don't have to have it all figured out. You don't even have to have a big goal. When I started running, I had no envisaging, like marathon was not going to be anywhere on my resume, right? That was not either half marathon, nothing like that. And so, but what happened was I joined an incredible community of people who love running, who were very supportive, who were very encouraging, and it became easy. It was surprisingly easy to get out there 2 or 3 times a week, to run with people, to chat with them, to feel supported, and then really good things started happening. So to me, from like a passion object, this represents that you can really do anything if you have the right support system, and you don't try and be too ambitious and push yourself too far, but just take it a day at a time and see what emerges.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. That's such a cool story. I mean, yeah, I think that, this kind of all comes together with, instead of waiting for something to come your way, instead of, having that doubt, instead of feeling that you may not be qualified, right? And someone telling you like, yes, you can do it. Like, even if you do have that hype squad, right? It doesn't mean that you are 100% qualified for whatever it is that you want to do. You do have to take intentional steps to get there.
Yes.
But you are qualified to take that first step. We all are.
Absolutely. Yes. And you don't have to like start, my husband and I are very different. He has a goal of like, he needs to be at a certain speed and travel a certain amount of distance, and he needs to push and push and push and push. And I'm like, oh no, I don't want to injure myself. I want to like be at my own steady pace. Basically, it's running your own race. That's the metaphor, right? Of whatever works for you. And you'll get there. Just don't be too intimidated or take on too much peer pressure of what everybody around you is doing.
Yeah. Gosh, I wish someone told me that, because like I'm in this race. Everyone, I'm competing against everyone sometimes. It's like, or how I've had I've seen myself falling into that outlook. And then I really, I step back and it's like, there isn't a race here.
No, there's no race. There is literally you figuring out what you're going to do today and the next step. And good things will come. I promise you. It's not, as long as you're taking those forward steps and a little bit every day, you'll be fine.
And it's really easy to compare ourselves, right? Especially if you're near your peers and you're on a college campus and you're looking around, you're all juniors, you're all going for internships.
Yes.
Another piece of great information I heard recently was that we only compare ourselves in the areas where we feel less than. So why not try comparing yourself in an area where you're killing it and start acknowledging that?
I'm loving the new wave of like strengths assessments on campuses. The more and more campuses are starting to implement that as a way of, rather than saying, what are your strengths and weaknesses? Let's only talk about your strengths. How can you harness those strengths, recognize how you're using them in day-to-day life, how you could use them more, right? As a way of figuring out who you are. And there's a bunch of free assessment tests online if you wanted to figure that out for yourself, but also inquire to see if there's any of those tests available through your career services center.
So then if let's say a student gets fired or something, they're like, well, what was it? Well, they couldn't handle my strengths.
I was just too strong. I was too strong for them.
No, I do think the strengths focus is so important, because most of us aren't. So yeah, writing down your strengths is super important. I had to do it. Okay. Well, so what's one of the greatest challenges that you see for students when it comes to launching their career journey?
I think it's scary out there, and for a number of different reasons. And I often see students feeling anxious about committing themselves, making a decision, because if they do that, then it becomes FOMO, right? All of the things they decided not to do, which are now no longer an option for them as far as they're concerned. And so whatever decision I make now in my junior or my senior year, that's just going to define me for the rest of my life. That is going to be non-negotiable. I'm not going to be able to change. So this is so huge that I actually would prefer to put it off, or talk to as many people as possible, or be in this weird, uncomfortable limbo stage of not really committing to something. I feel, and my experience has borne this out, and every adult I've ever spoken to has said the same thing. It is literally one decision. And then as soon as you're ready to make another decision and pivot to do something else, you can do that. This decision that you are about to make, be that your next internship, your job, your romantic partner, whatever it may be, is literally just the next thing you're going to be doing in your life. There will be another thing after that and another thing after that. You are not locking yourself into life. So what that means is take the pressure off yourself. Don't be so stressed that you have to make a decision there. Just have some fun with it, follow through, and know it's not forever, and that you will pivot a million times in your future life. And this is just the very next step that you're taking.
Oh yeah. I think I'm on my I don't know, 15th pivot here. I mean,
yeah, that's the way life works.
And some of them are tiny. Some of them are little, even with just my business, right? What it looks like. I mean, you see here, this was a print magazine. Today it's online. That's a pivot, guys. People are changing their careers 12 times in their lifetime, right? And I'm sure that's going to even just ramp up even more when we have more people that are working remotely, or more people that are go-getters and hustling for different kinds and craving different kinds of experiences. Mm-hmm. And that's okay to say, hey, my experience here, I'm feeling stagnant, or this isn't serving me. I want to do something else. So your first step out of college is not going to be the last.
Exactly. And I think there's also a fear of what if I mess this up? What if I decide to do something and I set myself a goal and I tell everybody that's my goal, and then it doesn't go the way I thought it was going to be? That, I think, in your early 20s, that is scary when you fear the thought of failure, the thought that you might make a mistake. Oh my God, like I make mistakes every day, every week, every year. It is part of growing up. It's part of developing yourself. It's part of developing wisdom about what to do differently next time. And so I always say, like, it's actually embrace your failures. If you ever go on a job interview or an internship interview, that's generally one of the questions they ask. Tell me about a time when you had to overcome an obstacle, or there was something that you couldn't do, or that you had to change direction because something happened. How did you respond? And to me, it's like, that is an amazing question. They're not trying to catch you out. What they actually want to discover is, did you grow from that experience? Did you learn something about yourself? These are the ways in which you kind of grow personally and professionally.
Yeah. Right. Did you ever fail an exam?
Yes.
And how did you come back from that? Anyone that has ever failed an exam knows the kind of effort that you have to put in to come back from that.
Yes.
Right? Digging yourself out of that hole. Well, so what career advice do you have for students today? And I know that we kind of talked about that now, but if you could leave our listeners with one piece of advice, what would it be?
Don't do it on your own. You don't have to be alone. There are a lot of people out there, both professionals, friends, family, who want you to succeed and want to help you. You do not have to be fiercely independent. You don't have to go through college like I did, assuming not what I did, I knew it all, but that it would be vulnerable for me to ask for help.
Yeah.
Asking for help is a totally normal part of the college process, and it's a totally normal part of life. And it will be so much easier and more rewarding, and you'll feel better if you ask for help. I guarantee it.
Yeah. And just, I want to come back to what you said earlier, waiting for someone to come your way or something to come your way. So I want to encourage everyone listening today, the one thing that you can do today, okay? I know you're listening, make it happen. I want you to identify that one person that could be your potential hype squad here, your potential coach. And maybe it's not the perfect fit for what you imagine being your mentor, but I want you to find one person, and I want you to start speaking to them about what it is that you're interested in, what aligns with their strength, what aligns with their values, and ask them what they, where they see you light up. So achievable. It cannot take that long. Call them up right now and say, hey, I want to talk to you about, what I've been thinking and what I care about and what I think I might want to do. And even if you're in something already or you're on a certain path, but there's something else that's just been burning up inside you that you're like, that's been lighting up, right? You're like, I really want to be working in this industry. I really want to achieve 50% of women in Congress by 2050. Like, that's what I want. For example, you can see me light up when I say it. Have those conversations and don't just wait for someone to come around and ask you or for some opportunity to come your way, because Ursula's seen it. She's worked with so many students. I mean, it's just not the thing that's going to come your way is going to be the thing that you're going to be settling for. So go for the thing that you really want. All right. Well, thank you so much, Ursula, for coming on the show. It has been wonderful having you here and hearing your advice for our emerging professionals. Thank you guys for listening. I really appreciate that you are part of the Find Your Passion career community and that I get to be part of your career journey. So thank you so much. Bye, everyone.